I think this is where a lot of men get stuck. Not out there somewhere, but right here in this quiet place when nobody else really sees it. Because some of you listening, you carry things. Maybe it's one moment that went sideways in your past. Maybe it was a decision that you wished that you could take back. Maybe it's not even one thing. Maybe it's a stretch of time where it feels like everything you touched didn't turn out the way you thought it would. And after a while, that kind of weight starts talking back to you. It starts yelling at you that you missed your shot, that you had your chance, but you blew it, that whatever you were supposed to be, that version of you that isn't on the table anymore and can never be, and if you sit in that long enough, you don't just feel tired, you start to feel finished and maybe a little bit alone. And if you're feeling done, and maybe it's not physically, maybe you're still showing up, maybe you're still doing what has to be done, but there's something in you that pulls back. You stop stepping into things the same way you did before. You stop reaching out. You stop building. You start living a little smaller, a little quieter, trying not to mess up again. I get that. I really do. I've been there more often than I like to admit. But Adam's life pushes back on that idea in a way we don't talk about enough. Because, yes, he fell. There's no soft way to say that. What he did has consequences that echo all the way down to us. But that wasn't the end of his story. He didn't disappear. He didn't get written off. He didn't lay down and just let that moment define everything that came after. He got up, he stepped into a harder and harsher world, and he kept going. He worked the ground, he raised his family, and he lived a life on the other side of failure. And maybe that's the part we need to hear more now than ever before, because the question was never really whether a man would fall. We know that's going to happen. That part seems to come with the territory. The real question is what a man does next, whether he stays down or whether, even if it's slow, even if it's messy, even if he's not sure he's got it in him, whether he gets back up and steps into what's still in front of him. There's something deeper going on there too, because Adam wasn't just given a task. He was given a role. When you look closely at what he was doing, he was standing in the garden as both a priest and a king. As a priest, he was in that role because he is in the presence of God, tending to what belongs to God. He was also a king because he was given the authority to steward and shape what had been entrusted to him by God Almighty. That combination is important because it means his work wasn't just practical, it was also sacred. And that wiring in him didn't disappear. You can see it in boys before anyone teaches them anything. Give them space and they'll start building. Give them something broken and they'll try to fix it. There is a quiet instinct to take what is and to shape it into something more. That doesn't come from nowhere. That traces all the way back to the garden. But I think here's where it gets really personal. A man without something to tend, something to build, something to take responsibility before, he doesn't become peaceful. He becomes restless. It doesn't always show up heavy or loud. Sometimes it looks just simply like drifting, like energy with nowhere to go, like a man trying to fill space with distractions because he's lost sight of what's actually his to carry. I've seen this play out in my own life because when I step into the shop and I've got something in front of me, like this bowl, something real, something I can put my hands on and work through, something inside me settles into a level of peace and calmness that I can't even begin to explain. In fact, it's really hard to explain if you've never felt it yourself. But there's a kind of quiet that shows up, not because everything in life is figured out, but because for that moment, in that space, you're where you're supposed to be. You're engaged and you're doing something that asks something of you. And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be impressive. Nobody else even has to see it. It just has to matter to you in that moment. And the more I've paid attention to that, the more I've realized that didn't start in the shop. It goes all the way back to the garden.